If the Earth wasn't made of rock and metal, but was instead entirely composed of pure gold, it would be far more valuable than even the current value of all the gold held by all the people on the planet combined. It would also have some unique properties that would make living on it pretty difficult. Gold is a chemical element with the symbol Au from the Latin word aurum, meaning shining dawn. Its atomic number is 79, making it almost twice as dense as uranium, the heaviest naturally occurring element on the periodic table. Gold has been prized by humans since the dawn of civilization. In fact, the 3 oldest known objects are all gold items dating back over 6,000 years. Let's imagine for a moment that the Earth were made of gold. First, we'd have to get rid of all that pesky rock and dirt. After all, you can't just plop a gold planet into our solar system without anything else. So let's assume that somehow all the non-gold stuff that makes up most of the Earth is gone, leaving us with a perfect sphere of gold. But how do we figure out what this Earth would look like? To find out, we turn to Professor Terry Cutlall of Imperial College London. Professor Cutlall is a planetary scientist who studies the formation and evolution of planets. He helped design the Beagle 2 probe that landed on Mars in 2003 and is currently working on the Rosalind Franklin rover, which will search for signs of ancient life on the red planet. We asked him how the Earth would look if it were made of gold, and he told us that the planet would probably look pretty much like the Earth does now. That's because the Earth's gravity depends on its mass, not what it's made of. Since the Earth's mass would stay the same, its gravity would stay the same too, and that means the atmosphere would still be held in place around the planet. So we'd still have an atmosphere, oceans, continents, and weather. But everything would be much, much more expensive. A 40-story building in Manhattan costs about $1.2 billion. A square foot of commercial space in that building costs about $25,000. If the Earth were made of gold, that same square foot would cost nearly $300 million. A house in the suburbs might cost around $500,000. Again, assuming that the Earth were made of gold, that same house would cost over $7 million. Pretty steep increase. You might think that the sun would shine brighter if the Earth were made of gold, but you'd be wrong. The sun's energy output depends on its core temperature and pressure, not what the Earth is made of. However, you'd need a lot of energy to keep your home warm. That's because gold is a great conductor of heat. In fact, it's one of the best conductors of heat known to man. Gold's high thermal conductivity means that it would quickly transfer heat from the core to the surface, so the planet would have a very even temperature throughout. There wouldn't be any hot spots or cold spots, and there wouldn't be any seasons either. Everywhere on the Earth would be the same temperature at all times, about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit or 5,500 degrees Celsius. That's because gold melts at about 1,848 degrees Fahrenheit or 1,064 degrees Celsius. So if the Earth were made of gold, the whole planet would be molten. But wait, there's more. You'd also need a lot of energy to survive on a golden Earth. That's because gold is a great reflector of light. In fact, it's one of the best reflectors of visible light known to man. Gold's high reflectivity means that it would bounce away most of the sunlight that hits it, and that would leave the Earth shrouded in darkness. To see anything, you'd need to carry around a flashlight. And if you wanted to see the sun, you'd need to bring a giant magnifying glass. You'd need a lot of energy to power your flashlight and your magnifying glass, and you wouldn't be able to get that energy from the Earth itself. That's because gold is a great insulator. It doesn't give off much energy, so it's not a good source of geothermal energy. And don't forget about earthquakes. The Earth is constantly shaking and rumbling beneath our feet, but you wouldn't feel a thing if the Earth were made of gold. That's because gold is a very strong material. It's one of the hardest materials known to man. Gold's high strength means that it can withstand a lot of force before it breaks, so it's not very prone to earthquakes. Finally, you wouldn't be able to dig a hole in the ground. That's because gold is one of the most scratch-resistant materials known to man. Gold's high hardness means that it takes a lot of force to scratch it, so you couldn't dig a hole in the ground with a pickaxe or a shovel. In fact, you'd probably break your tool before you made any progress. But what would happen if the Earth collided with another planet made of gold? If two solid gold planets collided, they would stick together and form a bigger gold planet. If two gaseous gold planets collided, they would do the same thing. But if a solid gold planet and a gaseous gold planet collided, the solid planet would win out and absorb the gaseous planet. Now, you might be wondering why the sky isn't filled with golden asteroids and planets if gold is so valuable. Well, that's because gold is very rare in the universe. It's one of the least abundant elements in the universe. Gold is mostly found on Earth because our planet is a special place. It's the only planet in the solar system with a lot of gold. Other planets, like Mars and Mercury, have very little gold. And the Sun doesn't have any gold at all. So if you're wondering why we don't use gold to make spaceships or other things that need to be lightweight, it's because gold is too heavy. Gold is about twice as dense as lead, which is already a very dense material. So if you used gold to make something like a spaceship, it would be very heavy and difficult to move. You might also be wondering why we don't use gold to make coins or other things that need to be durable. Well, gold is actually a very soft material, so it's not very good for things that need to be durable. Gold is also very expensive, so it's not worth using it for things that aren't important. Now, you might be wondering what happens to all the gold after it's mined. Well, most of it goes to jewelry stores where it's made into necklaces and bracelets and rings. Some of it is used in electronics like computer chips and smartphones, and some of it is used in dentistry. But the largest use for gold is in investment. People buy gold because it's a safe investment. They believe that gold will always have value, no matter what happens in the world. Now you know that gold is a great conductor of heat, but what about electricity? Would you be able to charge your phone if the Earth were made of gold? The answer is yes. In fact, gold is one of the best conductors of electricity known to man. That's because gold atoms have a lot of free electrons that can carry an electrical charge. This means that you could use gold wires to carry electricity throughout the planet. But what about internet cables? Would you be able to connect to the internet if the Earth were made of gold? The answer is probably not. That's because gold is a great reflector of radio waves. Radio waves are electromagnetic waves just like light. And gold reflects light very well. This means that gold would block most radio waves from passing through it. So you probably wouldn't be able to get a cell phone signal if the Earth were made of gold. What about X-rays? Could you get an X-ray if the Earth were made of gold? The answer is probably not. That's because gold is one of the best absorbers of X-rays known to man. Gold atoms are very dense, which means that they have a lot of protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons have a positive electric charge. So the center of a gold atom is basically a bunch of positively charged particles. Positively charged particles deflect X-rays. So you probably couldn't get an X-ray if the Earth were made of gold. And finally, what about nuclear energy? Could you use nuclear energy if the Earth were made of gold? The answer is probably not. That's because gold is one of the most stable elements known to man. It's very unlikely that gold atoms will undergo nuclear decay. Nuclear decay is when an atom's nucleus breaks down, releasing energy and sometimes radiation. So if the Earth were made of gold, we probably couldn't use nuclear energy. We hope you enjoyed learning all about the amazing properties of gold. Gold is truly a remarkable element. It's precious, rare, and highly valued. Thanks for watching.